Ever since I did the first video watching the Dream SMP Lore story thing, I think at least, what, 40% of my comments have been, please do a part 2. So it's time to acquiesce. And today we're doing part 2. I didn't know, however, that it was the L'Manberg Revolution. So I'm finally gonna learn about L'Manberg. I also thought I'd let you know that I have a Patreon now. And this video will be up there as an uncut reaction. So if you'd like that, among other perks, feel free to go check it out. The link will be in the description below. I'd really appreciate it if you'd even consider supporting me.
Independence or death.
Those are the only two choices.
They didn't have the resources, the people, or the will to start another battle. Until a new player joined.
Wilbur?
Who would change everything.
Is it Wilbur? Also, have you seen Wilbur's hairline?
A story of revolution.
Unironically, love those outfits though.
Wilbur Soot. A songwriter, comedic genius, and visionary.
What an introduction, hot damn.
Creating his first video on March 29th, 2019, and using his—
What? What? 2 years? God damn. I'm pathetic and will never accomplish anything.
Being a genius of words and stories, Wilbur brought something to the table that no one had really considered.
Lore.
The introduction of Wilbur marked a turning point in the SMP, from a jumbled mess of conflict to something more.
Just love it how blunt that was. A jumbled mess of conflict. Like, let's be honest, it was chaos. But then Wilbur came.
Scripted improvisation. And Wilbur, the main writer, began his story the day he logged on. This marked the true beginning of the storyline of the Dream SMP.
It was a very fascinating thing for me to learn that they actually do script things on stream. I had kind of assumed that there were like scenarios that they'd planned, but there was a big part of me that thought, maybe they just make everything up on the fly. But I absolutely love the concept of them scripting and planning the overarching stories and then like improvising all the minute details. I think it's a really cool idea.
Wilbur saw an opportunity in the Dream SMP. Not an opportunity for power or an opportunity for war, but an opportunity for business.
What? Started a business?
He started by building a caravan, van, the base of operations for his business. After tricking the rest of the SMP members into giving up all of their blaze rods and brewing stands, Tommy and Wilbur would be able to produce all of the potions on the server, profiting from the newfound rarity.
They're forming a monopoly.
Tommy joined Wilbur, and together, they began sweeping the server, convincing players to give up their brewing stands and blaze rods.
Why? Why would someone say yes though? What incentive was there? Wow, this is a really lovely build. It'd be a shame if something would have happened to it. Give me your blaze rods.
Entering the truck, Sapnap, against the will of Wilbur and Tommy, began looking around.
It's like a meth lab or something.
And right as they thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. As it turns out, Tommy had some unfinished business with Punk, having stolen from him once again.
Tommy, like, needs to settle down.
Wilbur walked out of the van, stalling Purpled and Punk just long enough for Tommy to escape through the floor of the van into a cave.
Run! He's on the lam!
Wilbur, confronted only by Tubbo, logged out of the game to buy some more time.
Fair enough.
The guards stood, awaiting Wilbur to rejoin.
God, that's obsessive.
With the news of Tommy being captured, one of the guards, Tubbo, began escorting Fundy to jail as well for conspiring to help Wilbur and Tommy. All that remained in the van was Eric, the final guard standing between Wilbur and freedom. But in a surprising turn of events, Eric betrayed the other guards, choosing to help the enemy instead.
Why? Had they like organized something with this guy? I assume so. Or he was just like, yeah, f it. Let them make their drugs.
Eric would convince Tubbo to let him finish the escorting of Fundy to court, where he would then bring Fundy to his house, allowing him to plant Wilbur the ingredients for an invisibility potion. But when Fundy and Eric reached Fundy's house, Purpled was there. Little did they know he had been spying on them in the
Oh my god, what a twist! He was watching!
He then quickly informed Sapnap of the news and requested him to come to Fundy's base as backup.
This is like literally this big ass game of chess. Everyone is moves ahead of each other. I thought it would be a lot more chaotic, but it feels so much more intentional and malicious.
All 4 of the prisoners dug out of their cells and ran. Everyone was on the run. After explaining his plans to Tubbo and talking of the injustice they had done to him and his accomplices, Tubbo decided to join his side. And just like that, with everyone safe in the van and a new member on their side, the businessmen had been through enough.
I love the idea of calling them the businessmen.
The team would no longer be businessmen. They would be citizens of a new nation. They would begin a revolution.
This is so dramatic. I knew there was drama, and I knew that there was some weird stuff that was gonna happen, but I just didn't expect this level of intricacy. I had honestly assumed that they just made a nation. I didn't know that it was to do with revolting against the cops. Hell yeah, based.
Their great nation needed a name. And Tommy had just the idea.
Wilbur, I've had the idea. I've had the idea.
Oh, I have a lot.
Oh my god.
Manberg, or alternatively, Mantopia.
I like Mantopia.
Yeah.
But how do we make it European? Le Manberg.
It does sound European.
And along with Wilbur, Tommy, and Tubbo, Fundy and Eric.
That goddamn skin. I don't think I've ever seen anyone that just has a Minecraft skin that's just like a guy wearing like jeans, belt, and pumps.
The team explained that everything inside the walls was their land and would be governed and cared for by them, separately and under no rule of the greater Dream SMP. Included would be Tommy's Hill House, which would remain property of their nation as the Lamamberg Embassy.
Of course. You gotta have an embassy.
All you've done for this nation is you're one of the faces of it, right?
Thank you.
But you need to understand that you've done very little in terms of setup. I mean, look behind you.
Good God. What the hell? I'm starting to get the vibe of Wilbur.
Then, word got out that Tubbo was being held hostage by Dream, Sapnap, and Puns. Tommy knew if there
This is I'm getting invested. The plot's good. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like I'm watching a HBO special. It's like Game of Thrones, but European.
Wilbur Soot, the leader of the great nation of Lamamberg, had drafted their Declaration of Independence. This book declares that the nation which shall be henceforth known as Lamamberg is separate, emancipated, and independent from the nation of Dream SMP. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one to dissolve the bonds which bind us, disregarding of this truth is nothing short of tyranny.
This feels like a historical document.
With the framing of the book, the nation of Lamamberg showed itself as a force to be reckoned with. And to Dream, this marked the point of no return.
Who's gonna switch? Like, someone's gonna end up giving them some insider information or something, right? I don't know who's gonna betray them. Or maybe no one will. I don't know.
Tommy had an idea to tempt Dream. He stated that if Dream refrained from attacking them, he would give up one of the discs.
I don't think he cares at this point, right?
But as Tommy and Tubbo were leaving Dream's base, their entire army logged on at once.
Was that planned?
The Dream SMP army was there, and Lamamberg's was not. All Tommy and Tubbo could do was stall them and hope for the best. As Tommy arrived at his house to speak with Dream and his army, he found the entire property laced with TNT. Tommy attempted to convince Dream he was in the wrong, but he would have none of it.
That's so depressing.
There is no mercy. We have burnt down Tubbo's house. We have planted TNT cannons around your land.
Just like a genuine question. Does Dream think he's in the right?
I just need to flash back to you defending Dream in the last video.
The only slight criticism I'd have of this is that it seems like they were shaping Dream to be the villain, saying about how they'd overcome the wrath of Dream. About that. They've made this tiny little nation. They just want to vibe. He doesn't have to be fine. I'm not expecting him to be yeah, Lamamberg's the greatest thing in the world. It's amazing. But just being you know what? because you've made this, I'm gonna blow up your embassy. It's kind of big move, right? Big.
We have no mercy! No mercy for you!
God, he's a villain. He's evil. I want y'all to know that if you're ever in a situation where you are screaming at your army to have no mercy, maybe you're an evil maniac.
As they began making their way to the battlefield, they took it all in. The final calm before the storm. The last peace. Once the battle began, there would be no rest until someone had won. And having had their moment of peace, both armies moved into position. Let the war begin.
I can totally imagine getting so into it that I would literally feel nervous before this. God, I get nervous when I have to 1v1 someone.
As the enemies stared each other down, they both waited for the first move to be made. Then, a shot was
I was
fired,
gonna say, of course Dream was gonna start it.
but it was nowhere close to the opposition.
Oh no, was it like a flame arrow and they have TNT underneath or something? That would be a baller move though.
But he didn't.
Oh, I was right!
The Lemmenburg army traveled to the nearby Punzis Tower. This tower stood at nearly the same height as Ponk's tower.
If you looked at these two towers and you had to say one of them was owned by the villain, which would you choose? This one that just looks like a business tower, or the Tower of Sauron? Dream, you need a moment of self-reflection.
Tommy and Tubbo reached the top and began firing down. The Dream SMP army could not shoot high enough to hit them. They were completely safe. Dream ordered his men to retreat once again. And with this victory, Eric convinced the rest of the group to join him in Lemmenburg, for he had been grinding for a secret weapon.
What? What would it possibly be?
As the group moved closer and closer to the final control room, they only became more and more confused, until they were all there, gathered around a single wooden button.
Why am I stressed?
Tommy could not handle the suspense and pressed the button. Then, the unthinkable happened.
There's nothing in the chest.
Down with the revolution, boys. It was never meant to be.
I knew someone was gonna betray him. Shame on you.
They all had nothing. All of their armor and weapons had been stolen or burned.
Wow, that would be heartbreaking.
Yet another ultimatum was set. If Lemmenburg did not fly white flags signifying their surrender of the war, Dream would blow up it all. Wilbur followed Dream back to Lemmenburg, where him and his men gathered at the wall for their final statement. Then, they all remembered the start of the war. The trap, the explosion. They had to stop. It was too late.
Oh god.
All they could do was watch.
Get back. Don't let this hurt you guys. Don't let this piece of team hurt you.
That is dedication to being evil.
But in one final twist, Tommy had an idea. He requested for Dream to join a private call, and he did. This is what happened.
Dream, I know what you want from me. I'll give you both of the discs if you let us have our independence. Both of them.
Okay, I will... How about this? I'll grant you technical independence.
Tommy, despite for his entire time on the SMP thinking only of himself and his own wants and needs, laid down his most prized possessions for the greater good of their nation.
Well, that's sweet, isn't it?
Wilbur gathered the men to write the Decree of Independence. It read, "As we gaze upon the swaths of redwood trees, the great hills to our south, and the walls that have protected us for years, I, as the now president of Lemmenburg, hereby state..."
Suck it, green boy!
Bro, I'm just imagining the American Declaration of Independence written like that.
The next true development in their story would arise in early September. With Wilbur being the self-elected president of Lemmenburg, many of the new players, upon hearing this, titled him a dictator.
I was gonna say, like, self-elected president.
This
was their
was
elections?
the first annual Lemmenburg
Oh my god.
election.
It's so presidential. feel like a changed man. How can so much happen? It's Minecraft! Doing another video on this lore has done nothing but convince me of how weird and interesting, unique and incredible it is. I'm really being sold on the story, I'm not gonna lie. I was invested the whole way through there. And now, all I want to do is watch the next one. So if you'd like to see that for a video, let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to click that like button, and as always, have an awesome time until I see you next. See ya!